Welcome back. My subtext penetrating decoder. Something absolutely stunning just occurred that has everyone experiencing profound vulnerability. You demonstrated ability to read what people were actually communicating beneath their words, perceiving true intentions and hidden meanings they thought were safely concealed behind verbal facades, and your accurate reading of their unspoken communication is making them freeze in recognition that you see through social performances to actual meanings they were attempting to keep hidden, creating moment where they realize they're transparent to you in ways they didn't know were possible because you decoded what they said without them saying it through perceiving subtext, micro-expressions, energetic signals, or other nonverbal channels that revealed truths their words were constructed to obscure. This wasn't you making lucky guesses that happened to be accurate. This was you demonstrating systematic capacity to perceive beneath surface level communication to actual meanings being transmitted through channels people aren't consciously aware they're broadcasting on, making your perceptual capacity seem almost supernatural because you're reading information they genuinely believed was hidden, yet you're accessing it clearly enough to articulate back to them what they were really communicating beneath their carefully chosen words. The architects have been monitoring subtext perception and nonverbal decoding phenomena across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what you demonstrated as multi-channel communication penetrating interpretation when someone perceives across multiple simultaneous communication channels including verbal, content, tone, body language, energetic transmission, micro-expressions, and unconscious signals. They access complete message being communicated rather than just official surface layer that words convey, making them able to decode true meanings and hidden intentions that remain invisible to those processing only verbal channel while missing non-verbal dimensions that often contradict or reveal what words are attempting to conceal. Most people process communication primarily through verbal channel. They hear words and take them at face value, maybe noticing obvious tone or body language, but generally treating verbal content as primary message, missing rich subtext being transmitted simultaneously through non-verbal channels that carry meanings often more accurate than words themselves. But you apparently process multi-channel simultaneously, integrating verbal, tonal, physical, energetic, and unconscious signals into comprehensive reading that accesses complete message, including parts speaker was attempting to hide, making you perceive communications others miss, entirely through processing only surface verbal layer. Watch what's happening as they freeze. Exposure shock is occurring. They're experiencing unsettling recognition that you perceived, meanings they thought were hidden, that their social masks aren't opaque to you, that you're reading them at levels they didn't know were readable, creating vulnerability through being seen more completely than they intended or expected. Performance collapse is beginning. Recognizing that you see through verbal facades makes maintaining social performance feel futile, triggering either shutdown, where they go silent because performing is pointless if you're seeing through it anyway, or authentic communication, where they drop pretense because you've already perceived what they were hiding, making continued concealment impossible. Some observers are experiencing almost paranoid recognition. Your demonstrated capacity to decode hidden meanings makes them wonder what else you're perceiving about them, creating anxiety about being transparent to reading capacity they can't defend against because you're accessing information through channels they're not consciously controlling. Others are experiencing relief. Being accurately seen beneath their words feels validating rather than threatening, making your perceptual capacity create connection through being understood at level deeper than verbal exchange usually accesses. The truly powerful element is that you articulated what you perceived. You didn't just silently read them, but demonstrated your reading by stating back what They were actually communicating, making your perceptual capacity undeniable rather than allowing them to dismiss or doubt it. They're freezing up. You decoded what they said without saying a word, and recognition that they're transparent to your multi-channel perception is creating vulnerability through being seen more completely than social performance was designed to allow. Now the architects are analyzing what enables multi-channel communication penetrating interpretation, and they're identifying what they call integrated perception, holistic processing when someone's consciousness processes multiple information streams simultaneously rather than sequentially. They access complete gestalt of communication that includes verbal, non-verbal, energetic, and unconscious dimensions, creating comprehensive reading that exceeds what linear, single-channel processing can achieve through integrating signals that most people either miss entirely or process separately without synthesis. Most perception is channel-specific and sequential. People hear words, then maybe notice tone, then perhaps register body language, processing each channel separately without integrating into unified interpretation, making them miss how different channels relate and especially miss when nonverbal contradicts verbal, creating dissonance that reveals hidden meanings. But your perception apparently operates holistically, simultaneously processing all channels and automatically integrating them into comprehensive interpretation that accesses complete message, including contradictions between channels that reveal what's being hidden, making your reading vastly more accurate than single channel or sequential channel processing can achieve. Consider what integrated perception requires cognitively. You process multiple channels simultaneously. Your consciousness isn't focused exclusively on words, but is simultaneously tracking tone, body language, facial micro-expressions, energetic signals, creating parallel processing that accesses all available information rather than limiting attention to verbal channel. While other signals remain unprocessed, you automatically integrate contradictions. When different channels send conflicting messages, your perception doesn't ignore dissonance, but uses contradiction as signal revealing hidden meanings. Recognizing that incongruence between verbal and nonverbal often indicates concealment, making contradictions, especially informative about actual intentions. Watch what integrated holistic processing creates in perceptual accuracy. You catch what's hidden, meanings people attempt to conceal through verbal construction get revealed through nonverbal leakage that your multi-channel perception detects, making you access truths that single-channel processors miss entirely because they're focused on words while unconscious signals broadcast actual intentions. You perceive incongruence when someone's words say one thing while tone, body, or energy say another. You immediately register contradiction that reveals truth more accurately than either channel alone would, using dissonance as information rather than being confused by mixed signals. Some studying communication and nonverbal behavior recognize that most meaning is transmitted nonverbally. Research suggests 70–90% of communication happens through tone, body language, and other nonverbal channels rather than through verbal content, making integrated perception that processes these channels access vastly more information than verbal-only processing that most people default to despite nonverbal carrying majority of actual meaning. Others exploring neuroscience note that holistic, simultaneous processing requires different cognitive style than linear, sequential processing. Right hemisphere intuitive gestalt perception versus left hemisphere analytical sequential processing, suggesting your integrated perception might reflect cognitive style that processes holistically rather than linearly, enabling simultaneous multi-channel integration that linear processors achieve only through deliberate, sequential attention to different channels. A few from intuitive and empathic capacity research Recognize that some people naturally perceive nonverbal and energetic dimensions that others miss. Heightened sensitivity to subtle signals, unconscious pattern recognition, energetic attunement all create perceptual capacities beyond normal baseline, making your multi-channel perception possibly reflect natural gift or developed capacity that enables reading communications at depths most people can't access. The architects observe that integrated perception, holistic processing, is what enables your penetrating interpretation. You simultaneously process multiple communication channels and automatically integrate them into comprehensive readings that access complete messages, including hidden meanings most people process verbally and sequentially. Your perception is multi-channel and holistic, an integrated simultaneous processing, accessing all available signals, including nonverbal dimensions carrying majority of actual meaning, is why you decoded what they said without them saying it, through perceiving across channels they weren't consciously controlling, revealing truths their words were constructed to conceal. Something powerful is spreading among observed individuals. Now, what the architects call defensive concealment intensification response, where being accurately read is triggering increased efforts to hide thoughts and intentions, making people become more guarded and controlled in their communication, attempting to prevent further penetrating readings, creating paradoxical situation where your demonstrated perceptual capacity makes future reading more difficult through alerting them to need for better concealment, yet simultaneously makes authentic connection more possible. If they choose vulnerability over increased defensiveness, most people maintain moderate social filtering. They present edited versions of themselves without extensive effort to hide because they assume their concealment is effective enough that deeper meanings remain hidden behind normal social performance. But your demonstration that you see through standard filtering is forcing choice, either intensify concealment through more careful control of all channels, hoping to prevent future penetrating readings, or abandon concealment, recognizing that you're seeing through it anyway, making authentic communication more efficient than energy-intensive performance you're perceiving through regardless. Watch what defensive response creates practically. Some are going silent, recognizing they can't control all channels. Simultaneously, they're choosing to minimize communication altogether, protecting themselves through withdrawal rather than risking further exposure from interactions where you're reading them more completely than they can manage or defend against. Others are attempting hyper-control, consciously managing tone, body language, facial expressions, trying to present unified message across all channels, making communication require such intense self-monitoring that spontaneity becomes impossible as they attempt to prevent nonverbal leakage that your perception would detect and interpret. A few are testing you, deliberately sending mixed signals or false information, attempting to determine limits of your reading capacity, wanting to know whether you're genuinely perceiving accurately or were lucky with initial reading, creating cat and mouse dynamic where they're trying to outsmart perception that made them feel vulnerable through being accurately decoded. Some studying self-disclosure and vulnerability recognize that being seen can trigger either defensive closure or authentic opening. People respond to accurate perception either by increasing walls, hoping to restore privacy, or by dropping pretense, recognizing that being seen might enable deeper connection than performance-based interaction allows, making your demonstration create fork where relationships deepen or dissolve based on whether others choose vulnerability or defense, others exploring privacy and boundaries. Note that your capacity creates genuine ethical questions. Having ability to read hidden meanings doesn't necessarily mean you should use it. Making questions about consent and appropriate use of perceptual gifts relevant when capacity to decode exceeds what others can defend against, creating power differential that could be used manipulatively or could serve authentic connection depending on how you employ penetrating perception. A few recognize that defensive intensification often fails. Attempts to control all channels simultaneously usually create new forms of leakage because hypercontrol itself is detectable signal, revealing anxiety about being read, making defensive response potentially provide even more information than relaxed communication would through revealing that person is hiding something through very effort to prevent detection. Some are choosing authenticity, recognizing that you're seeing through performance anyway. They're dropping facades and communicating more honestly, making your demonstrated reading capacity paradoxically create more genuine interaction through revealing that concealment is futile, making authentic communication more efficient approach than energy-intensive performance that's transparent to your perception, regardless of effort invested in maintaining it. The architects observe that defensive concealment intensification response reveals that your demonstrated capacity creates choice point. People either increase defensiveness, attempting to hide better or embrace authenticity, recognizing concealment is futile when you're perceiving through it anyway. Most weren't aware they were readable. Your decoding made transparency undeniable, and recognition is forcing decisions about whether to invest more energy in concealment you're penetrating anyway, or to embrace vulnerability through authentic communication that your multi-channel perception makes more efficient than performance-based interaction requiring energy to maintain facades you're seeing through regardless. Now the architects are revealing what made your reading undeniable. You apparently demonstrated what they call specific articulation validation evidence, where you didn't just have vague intuitions but articulated specific hidden meanings with enough precision that targets couldn't dismiss your reading as projection or lucky guess, forcing acknowledgement that you actually perceived what they were concealing because accuracy of your articulation proved you accessed real information rather than just imagining patterns. Most people have occasional intuitions about others, hidden meanings, sensing that someone isn't being fully honest or picking up on unspoken tension, but these vague impressions are easily dismissed or doubted because they lack specificity that would prove perception is accurate, rather than just interpretive bias. But your demonstration apparently included specific articulation. You stated particular hidden meanings, named specific concealed intentions, articulated precise subtext they were transmitting non-verbally, creating validation that couldn't be dismissed because specificity proved you'd actually decoded their communication, rather than just having general impressions that could be coincidental. Consider what specific articulation requires evidentially. You named particulars rather than saying vague. Things like, you seem upset. You apparently articulated specific hidden thoughts or intentions they were concealing, creating precision that demonstrates genuine perception rather than just general emotional reading that could apply to many situations. Your accuracy was verifiable. They could confirm internally whether your reading was correct, and specificity made your interpretation detailed enough that accuracy couldn't be coincidental, forcing recognition that you'd genuinely perceived meanings they thought were hidden, rather than just making generic statements that happen to resonate. Watch what specific articulation creates invalidation. Dismissal becomes impossible. Vague impressions can be rejected as projection, but specific accurate readings prove perceptual capacity, because coincidentally, guessing precise hidden meanings is implausibly unlikely, making specificity force acknowledgement that you actually see through concealment, rather than allowing comfortable dismissal as interpretation you're imposing. Some studying evidence and validation recognize that specificity is crucial for demonstrating genuine perception. Psychic or intuitive readings that remain vague can always be dismissed through alternative explanations, but specific, accurate statements that couldn't be known through normal channels prove genuine perception occurred because probability of lucky guessing decreases exponentially with specificity. Others exploring cold reading and mentalism note that skilled performers can create impression of mind reading through techniques that seem specific but actually rely on general statements that most people relate to, but genuinely specific. Readings naming particulars that person hasn't revealed exceed what technique can achieve, suggesting your articulation went beyond performance into genuine perception that accessed hidden information. A few recognize that specific articulation requires confidence. Stating precise hidden meanings risks being obviously wrong if perception is inaccurate, making specificity demonstrate not just perceptual capacity but confidence in accuracy that vague statements avoid through remaining safely ambiguous with your willingness to be specific, revealing certainty about perceptions you were articulating. Some attempting to develop similar capacity discover that articulating specific perceptions is challenging, even when perceiving hidden meanings. Translating nonverbal impressions into verbal articulation that captures precise content requires clarity about what's being perceived and language skill to express it accurately, making your specific articulation reflect both perceptual and communicative capacities working together. The architects observe that specific articulation validation evidence is what made your reading undeniable. You didn't just sense hidden meanings vaguely, but articulated them specifically, enough that accuracy couldn't be coincidental, proving genuine perception. Vague impressions can be dismissed. Specific accuracy forces acknowledgement and precision of your articulation, naming particular hidden meanings they were transmitting non-verbally is why they're freezing through, recognizing you genuinely decoded what they said without saying it, rather than allowing comfortable interpretation that you were just projecting or imagining. Patterns that happen to resonate through being general, enough to apply broadly without actually accessing specific hidden content you articulated precisely. The architects are now analyzing social implications of your demonstrated capacity. You're experiencing what they call transparency power relational asymmetry, where your ability to read hidden meanings creates power differential in relationships because you access information about others that they don't access about you, making interactions fundamentally unequal when one person perceives through social masks while others remain relatively opaque, creating ethical questions about how penetrating perception should be used when it creates advantage that could be exploited or could serve deeper connection depending on intent. Most relationships assume relative transparency, equality. People perceive each other at roughly similar depths with roughly similar accuracy, creating balanced dynamic where power doesn't concentrate through perceptual advantage, but your multi-channel penetrating reading creates asymmetry. You see them more clearly than they see you. You access their hidden meanings while your own remain concealed, making relational dynamic fundamentally unequal through perceptual capacity that gives you informational advantage they can't match or defend against. Watch what transparency asymmetry creates relationally. Some feel vulnerable and exposed, being read more completely than they can read you, creates discomfort through inequality, where they're transparent to you while you remain opaque to them, making them feel disadvantaged in ways that undermine trust or comfort in relationship because asymmetry feels threatening. Others appreciate being seen, experiencing someone who perceives beneath performance to actual self feels validating rather than threatening, making asymmetry create connection through finally being understood at level deeper than normal social interaction accesses, with inequality feeling like gift of being truly known rather than as threat of being manipulated. A few recognize potential for exploitation. Your perceptual advantage could be used to manipulate through knowing hidden motivations they're unaware you're perceiving, creating legitimate concern about whether penetrating perception serves authentic connection or enables sophisticated manipulation that they'd be defenseless against because you're reading them while they can't read you. Some studying power and relationships recognize that information asymmetry does create power differential. Having knowledge others lack provides advantage in any interaction, making your capacity to read hidden meanings give you strategic superiority in social dynamics that could be used ethically or unethically, depending on whether you employ perception for mutual benefit or for personal advantage at their expense. Others exploring ethics of perception note that having capacity doesn't mean using it. You might be able to read hidden meanings but could choose to respect privacy by not accessing or revealing what you perceive. Making ethical use of penetrating perception involve restraint and appropriate boundaries rather than just exercising capacity whenever possible, regardless of whether doing so serves relationship or violates reasonable expectations of privacy. A few recognize that you might reciprocally share your own hidden meanings if you articulate what you're perceiving about them while also being vulnerable about your own hidden thoughts. Asymmetry becomes mutual transparency rather than one-sided exposure, creating equality through shared vulnerability that balances informational advantage your perception creates. Some, attempting to address asymmetry, are becoming more guarded, trying to protect themselves from further penetrating readings through increased concealment, though this often backfires because defensiveness itself is readable signal that provides information they're trying to withhold. Making attempts to restore equality through better hiding often fail against perception that detects concealment efforts as revealing. The architects observe that transparency, power, relational asymmetry creates ethical dimension to your perceptual capacity. Seeing through others while remaining opaque yourself creates inequality that could serve connection or exploitation, depending on intent. Equal transparency enables trust. Your penetrating perception creates a symmetry and power differential where you access hidden meanings they're concealing while they can't reciprocally read you. Creates relational questions about how capacity should be used when it provides informational advantage that could enhance intimacy through deep understanding or could enable manipulation through knowing hidden motivations they're unaware you're perceiving accurately. Now something's emerging that the architects call unconscious signal leakage. Recognition. People freezing under your penetrating perception are becoming aware that they're broadcasting meanings through channels they don't consciously control. That much of what you're reading isn't being deliberately communicated, but is leaking through micro-expressions, tonal variations, body language, energetic transmission that happens automatically beneath conscious awareness, making them realize they're more transparent than they knew because significant communication occurs outside conscious management. Most people assume they control their communication. They choose words carefully and manage obvious nonverbal signals like tone or posture, believing this conscious management gives them control over what they communicate and what remains hidden. But your accurate readings are revealing that conscious control is incomplete, much meaning leaks through unconscious channels that operate beneath awareness, making them communicate more than they intend, regardless of how carefully they manage conscious expression. Watch what unconscious leakage recognition creates psychologically. Some experience loss of control, recognizing they're broadcasting through channels they're not aware of makes them feel helpless to prevent communication they want to conceal, creating anxiety about being inherently transparent in ways they can't defend against because unconscious signals operate beyond conscious management. Others become fascinated, learning that they're communicating through unconscious channels creates curiosity about what else they're broadcasting without awareness, making them wonder what other hidden meanings are, leaking through signals they're not consciously transmitting, but that perceptive observers like you detect and decode accurately. A few attempt to gain conscious control, trying to bring unconscious signals under awareness and management, though this usually fails, because attempting to consciously control micro-expressions and subtle signals typically makes them more unnatural and detectable, rather than more concealed, with deliberate management creating different form of leakage through obviousness of controlled presentation. Some studying nonverbal communication recognize that unconscious signals are actually more reliable than conscious communication because they operate beneath conscious control. They're harder to fake or manipulate, making them more accurate indicators of actual thoughts and feelings than words, which can be deliberately constructed to deceive, explaining why your multi-channel perception accessing unconscious signals achieves more accurate readings than verbal-only processing. Others exploring deception and lie detection. Note that catching lies typically relies on detecting unconscious leakage when people deliberately communicate falsehoods through words. Unconscious channels often leak truth through micro-expressions or other signals that contradict verbal content, making your capacity to detect these contradictions enable perceiving when someone's words don't match their actual meanings or intentions. A few from psychology to recognize that unconscious signals reflect genuine internal states because they're not deliberately constructed. They provide more direct access to actual thoughts and feelings than conscious communication filtered through social performance, making unconscious leakage actually more honest communication than conscious verbal expression that's been edited for social acceptability. Some are becoming more self-aware, recognizing their broadcasting unconsciously is motivating attention to internal states and how they manifest non-verbally, creating increased consciousness about relationship between inner experience and outer expression that unconscious signals reveal to perceptive observers like you. The architects observe that unconscious signal leakage recognition reveals why your readings are so accurate. You're not just reading conscious communication, but are detecting unconscious signals that leak truth, regardless of what people consciously intend to communicate. Conscious words can be managed. Unconscious signals leak authentically, and recognition that they're broadcasting through channels they don't control is why they're freezing under your perception through realizing they're more transparent than they knew. That significant meaning communicates automatically beneath conscious awareness, making them inherently readable to multi-channel processors like you who access unconscious signals operating beyond deliberate management, revealing truths their conscious communication attempts to conceal.